Good morning, everybody. We'll start the session now. Can close the doors. Thank you.
Hello.
My name is Liam Molinari. I work for Eco Canada, and it's a pleasure for me to be here to moderate this session. So, the name of the session is Sustainable Futures Fosters Inclusive Employment for a Greener Tomorrow. Our speakers today are going to be Joy McKinnon and Tanya Seabrook from the Canadian Association for Supported Employment. I'm going to go ahead and start introducing our speakers because we're running a little bit behind. So, starting with Tanya. Tanya has over 25 years in a human services field with 15 plus years in supported employment, working directly with job seekers, service providers, and employers. Tanya's passion and focus has been on employer engagement and assisting employers to strengthen their businesses by increasing the diversity in their workforce. Tanya joined Case's team in 2023 as an employer engagement specialist for the Innovation Lab and currently supports employers through partnerships, solutions, and resources to recruit and retain talented employees who experience disabilities. Tanya sits on many diversity, equity, and inclusion advisory committees that provide her with continual learning, networking opportunities, and new innovations in supported employment. She appreciates every opportunity to engage with businesses and to help them discover an untapped talent pool and the benefits of inclusive hiring. Joy McKinnon. Joy has over 3 decades of experience in two countries, assisting both businesses and job seekers to create inclusive and diverse workplaces. This began in Texas, where she developed a neighborhood health watch with Vista, the Volunteers in Service to America. The program focused on single-parent inner-city families to develop skills and work ethics to improve the standards of living, thus improving the general health of these disenfranchised citizens. The program has spread across the southern U.S. It is still operating today. The Texas Department of Public Health recognized Joy's work with a Certificate of Appreciation in 1996. And in 2000, Joy was awarded an Innovation Award in Manitoba for her work in the rural entrepreneurs. Joy works with businesses leaders to develop policy and strategies for hiring talent. This builds and maintains diverse, inclusive workplaces with increased productivity and workplace morale. Joy's current role as New Concepts Coordinator with Case's Innovation Lab allows her to focus on finding innovative solutions to workforce challenges. Joy holds a bachelor's degree in education and is a certified facilitator. This session is going to be about 40 minutes long, and then we're going to have some time at the end for questions. So without any further ado, Joy and Tanya, please join me on stage, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Appreciated. Now, I'm going to put yours up here.
Okay.
Thanks, Elia. Wow, that was an awful long time to say that I'm old. It took like 15 minutes to say that I'm old. But, you know, c'est la vie. So yeah, as Ellie mentioned, I'm Joy, and this is my colleague, Tanya. We're excited to share some information about CASE. We think we're a big deal, and then we came here and set up our little booth, and nobody knew who we were. It was humbling. But the Innovation Lab is a project that both of us are quite passionate about, and we are in a pivotal time when we need talent like never before. Due to aging population, due to low birth rates, due to the pandemic, it seems like we are struggling to find talent to fill positions. For your information, I was just watching the news before I came out. I meant to say this before I started. 2 very important things that you all should know. The first one is that Prince Harry has settled his agreement with the newspaper tabloid for the phone, listening on the phone thing. So that's taken care of, so you can all relax now, because I know that was a big deal. And the second thing that I saw on the news was that our unemployment rate is now nationally at 5.7%. Anything under 8% is a critical time for employers. So those are the two things that I heard this morning. I know that you're all happy to hear that Prince Harry is good to go. So that's basically what I had to say this morning. I'm going to let my colleague talk. She's saying, I can see her. She's going, oh God, Joy, just shut up. So, go ahead.
No, I love when Joy shares her stories. I hope she shares a ton today. I want to thank you guys all for choosing to be here with us. We are so excited to be here at this conference. And I've learned so much about your world, and the fact that you chose to spend this hour with us to learn a little bit about our world is amazing. So I'm super happy. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about CASE first. Our presentation is going to be about recruitment. Oh, sorry. I'm going the wrong direction.
I told you that would happen.
We talked about this. So we are the Canadian Association for Supported Employment. And like Joy said, we found out that lots of folks don't know about us. And that's why one of my big roles is employer engagement, broad sectors. This is one of the first big conferences that I've been to this year. And like I said, I'm super excited to hear about what you guys are doing and your needs as well. So I hope we can talk after. But the Canadian Association for Supported Employment is a national organization. We've been around for almost 3 decades now, and we work with employers, service providers, employment service providers, and allies and stakeholders to increase the awareness about persons experiencing disability and the employment struggles and barriers that they deal with. Like Joy said, the national rate for employment is about 5%. For people with disabilities, it's over 50%. So we think at CASE that Canada can do better. We can all do better. There's a shortage in the market, like Joy said, and there's a talented pool of qualified people to fill it. So we're here to tell you about how to do that. Joy and I are particularly part of Innovation Lab. It's one of the initiatives with CASE, and it started in 2021 with funding through the federal government, through the Sectorial Initiatives Project. And for the past 2.5 years, we're in the 3rd year of it, we've been able to work with 27 partners across Canada with innovative and transformative solutions to try to address these barriers that persons with disabilities and marginalized communities as a whole are dealing with. So at the Innovation Lab, that's what we've been doing, 27 different projects, and Joy's going to come tell you about some of those.
Thank you. So as Tanya mentioned, we've worked with 27 partners to come up with some innovative ideas of how we can increase workplace inclusion. And so some of those are, we have transformative technological developments, and mostly in the form of apps. Those apps can be used in a number of different ways, from job search to actually job coaching. As well as everyday life things. I'm going to tell you what, without my phone, and I don't know if this is an age thing, but like 10 years ago, I never even thought about taking my phone with me. Now, if I don't have it in my hand all the time, I'm freaking out because I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be. And so this is kind of the same idea with these apps. It just helps everybody be on schedule and doing the things that they want to do. We also have worked with an organization that's doing onboarding and on-the-job training. Again, that goes back to apps. We have an organization that is working on temporary or transitional work programs. We all know that employers have certain times of the year when they're really, really busy, and they may not need to hire someone on a full-time basis, but someone may be going on leave for one reason or another, and they need someone in a temporary position. It's a great way to add some inclusion to your workplace, because these individuals will add a different perspective to what you're doing. And then it may turn into something you think, like, I might need this person longer than I thought that I needed them. So it might be a nice segue into working into more inclusive workplaces. We also have another partner that's specifically working with college and university students that are looking for co-op and internship placements and mentoring places. This is really important to us because one of the things I've heard since I've been here actually are people that are looking for those types of things. So we have a partner that actually is partnering with several universities and college to help these students get those co-op placements when they're leaving their place of education. We have recruitment tools and we offer opportunities for businesses to meet with an employment specialist. In other words, a headhunter. You all know what a headhunter it is. And we partner with over 200 agencies across the country so that we can give you a ready-made applicants for a job. We just posted in case for a position just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. And we had over 500 applications for that position. And we're a very small organization. We are national, but we're a small organization. And it took us literally days to go through those 500 applications. And it turned out none of them were what we needed. Now, if we would have so we did turn to a headhunter to find us 2 or 3 people that would fit this need so that we can actually hire quicker, save us hours, and we can offer you that as well. One of the other interesting partners that we just kind of started with is an organization that is helping, they're certifying employers with DEI. So an employer would come to them or they would go to an employer and offer them a series of information and assessments that they can go through to see where they add up on the scale. And if they're strong in one area but maybe not as good in another area, they'll offer them services to bring them up in that area so they can be nationally certified as an employer that values inclusion and diversity, which is really important when you're looking at hiring. If you can post, we offer this because we've been certified that we are an inclusive employer. So that's another one of our partners. Recently, we've partnered with an organization that is looking into the trades and how they can assist people that are a little bit different than us to be certified in the trades. Not making it easier for them, but just a different way for them to be certified. So those are some of the partners that we work with. Let's say I'm lost already.
You're
I told
good.
you that was going to happen.
Yeah, no,
So, okay.
I think you covered them.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, there they are. Okay.
Next.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a little bit different presentation than probably the other ones that you've attended here. Hopefully we stick out a little bit. I'm going to try to ask for some involvement and hopefully you guys will help us out. And so we're going to start with this, just a little exercise.
Okay, so we have a bowl of candy here. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to offer you all a bowl, a candy. Please take a candy. And some of you are going to take one, and some of you aren't going to take any. You're going to say thank you. You're not going to take one. So I'm wondering why you all didn't take a candy. So I'm going to ask you, why didn't you take a candy? Oh, I see. You have dentures, and you're afraid it might stick to your dentures.
Okay, that's me.
You notice I looked right at.
I'm an open book.
I looked right at.
Or you secrets here.
You may be, be diabetic. So of course you're not going to want to take a candy that's pure sugar. Or you might have allergies, or so that you're not really sure what's in the candy. You might have a nut allergy, and it might be coconut or oil or something in there. Or you may have sensitivities to dyes or artificial flavors, so you don't want to step at that. Now, if you're my husband, you don't want to take one because they're not wrapped, and he doesn't know where all hands have been, so he doesn't want to have any germs and so forth. Or I might have got to the back of the room, and so you really didn't have opportunity to take one. Or I could have held them up here, and someone might have been too short to get one. So there's so many reasons why you might not have taken a candy.
So now who wants a candy? So you can see here, just by talking, asking questions, talking about solutions, we were able to substantially, probably, increase who might take a candy. And so it's exactly the same with accessibility and hiring. The more you know, the better you can do, and the more you increase your chances for accessing that untapped, qualified, talented pool of individuals, the 50+ % that I spoke of earlier, that are having barriers to getting into the employment. Yeah.
Is this supposed to be me?
Sorry, no, it's still me. So accessibility, we'll stick on this slide and talk about accessibility. What is accessibility? What do people think about when you hear the word accessibility? So the normal things that we hear when we say that word, we put on the slide here. Automatic doors, signage, parking, elevators, ramps, stuff like that. Can anybody else, can you think of any other accessibility barriers that may exist? You guys are all shy.
They're afraid of us.
Jennifer.
They're afraid of us.
Yes.
Language, good
Yeah,
one.
exactly. Yeah, barriers can be invisible or visible, and they're basically things that keep everybody from being able to access certain things. So they close the market for certain people. Some other examples are, they could be attitudinal. That's like treating people differently because of the way they look or the way they sound. Often we refer to it as implicit bias or unconscious bias. And it's something that everybody has. Nobody exists in this realm without having unconscious bias. So the first step to that is just being aware of it, knowing it exists, and challenging some of those things that we were raised with. Another one is informational or communication. So that could look like using jargon or slang or even acronyms. We all use acronyms within our own businesses, and they're known to us, but when you're putting out job postings or interviewing and you use those things, it really closes the market again. Also systematic, based in the policies, procedures, and practices that were often developed so long ago and are antiquated. So within your own employers and your own businesses, look at those policies and procedures and practices, and are these accessible to everybody? It could also be technological. And then also it could be, back to these main ones, it could be physical or architectural. And these are the ones we all think of first, but FYI, just a small thing, is that only 10% of people with disabilities have mobility issues. So we tend to go to these things immediately, but they're the least of the barriers that persons with disabilities are experiencing. And some of these barriers take a longer time to fix, but some of them can be fixed super easy, low cost, and low time. Okay, enjoy.
So what are the reasons that we want to work toward a more inclusive workplace? I mean, to me, the number one reason should be, or probably is that inclusive and diverse workplaces have a higher morale, so that people, and they have a higher job satisfaction, so people stay at their jobs longer. The more that you feel comfortable and you see yourself in a workplace, the longer you'll probably stay there. So I think that's one of the main reasons that we should look at job retention and recruitment. It takes us way less time. 1 in 4, depending on where you live, 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 Canadians experience a disability. I still think that's probably, that number probably isn't right, because the disability sector is the only sector that you're probably going to join at some point in your life. I think that Dr. Carlson mentioned that yesterday in her presentation as well. I mean, it might be just, you might be just passing through the disability realm, like you might just have something that's going to pass, or it might be something that becomes a lifelong issue for you. And so I think that's why it's really important to think about being more inclusive. We have supports available that would help any employer with any of the situations that they have, to help them rethink what disability is, for number one, and to help them be able to be more inclusive. One more thing, if I could, before.
Yeah.
Remember, and also another important thing to remember is that people tend to do business where they see themselves reflected. And so I think that's another important thing to look at. If you're looking at, first off, say 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 people have a disability, and you have a workforce of 10 individuals, how many people in your workforce reflect that dynamic? I think I'm done now, I'm sorry.
I've always said too, it really impacted me when I heard years ago that disability is the only marginalized group that we can all join at any time. That hit me super hard when I heard it like 25 years ago. But yesterday, one of my colleagues, she said that the average is that we'll all spend 7 years of our lives experiencing a disability. And it could be, like Joy said, temporary. It could be at the end of our life. But, it's something that could affect us all. And it touches us all with our friends, our family. So like Joy said, not only to see yourself represented, but to see the people you love. And, it's a good thing. So now we know about what accessibility is in recruiting, and we know about why it's beneficial to do it. So we're going to talk a little more about how. How do you attract, recruit, and retain from this qualified, talented pool of individuals? So it starts right from the very beginning, from job postings to the interviewing to the onboarding. Again, we don't know what we don't know, and we can always do better. So regardless of where your company or your employers are in their diversity, equity, and inclusion journey, we'd like you to add accessibility to it. So IDEA, inclusive, diversity, equity, and accessibility. If your goal is to attract more talent, then you need to start with how you attract more talent. And a good place to start is at the beginning with the job postings.
So as Jennifer mentioned it a little bit ago, language is one of the most powerful things in postings. So inclusive postings should focus on a list of qualifications, not necessarily a list of degrees. We should be able to say, well, we need someone that can do this and this and this and this, no matter what that is, no matter whether you're hiring someone in the hospitality sector or whether you're hiring somebody to be an EP. I just learned what an EP was, by the way. Whoop, whoop.
We're super proud of ourselves.
The reason I learned is because I wanted to go to the breakfast because I'm all about food, and they turned me away because I'm not an EP yet, but I'm in training. I'm in training so soon. So yeah, when you're posting, make sure that you're using language that all people can understand and relate to. Inclusive posting should be concise and not use, as Tanya said a little bit ago, don't use jargon, don't use acronyms, don't use the things that not all people would understand. They often include information that on the bottom or somewhere that they are an inclusive employer and that they'll work towards helping people at any stage of the hiring process be more inclusive and feel valued. When you're using electronic postings, and honestly, that's like 95% of people are using electronic postings anyway. I don't know if they use job boards, like just basic job boards. You apply through the company or apply through this. It's really difficult for a lot of people for a number of reasons. It could be, like myself, I live in a very rural part of the country. We have not very good internet. For some people, just having the device that actually, as you probably all know, and maybe it's me, I'm not good with technology. I'm just going to maybe I'll put it out there on the table. I suck at technology. But if I had to use my phone, if that was my main piece of technology to apply for a job, like I would be unemployed the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Because it's really difficult to apply for a job on a phone. So make sure that when you're posting that you're giving people the opportunity to get a hold of someone in your company. And not just, here's the email, send your resume to. Tanya is the person to talk to. Here's her phone number, here's her email, here's her, at any time, give her a call and or reach out to her and she'll give you the information and make sure that you have a good opportunity to apply for this position as well. At the bottom of every posting, I like something like, our company values the diversity of the people it hires and serves. Diversity in our company means fostering a workplace, I got to read the rest of it because I'll just screw it up if I don't say it right, in which individuals Individual differences are recognized, appreciated, respected, and responded to in ways that fully develop and utilize each person's talents and strengths. I think everybody would realize that they are valued there, and this is a place I want to work.
Yeah. So we just pulled out one sample job posting. Joy went on the internet and found one, just to give us an example of some things that we could work on at Tap Sports and Lounge Grill. Sorry to call you out, Tap Sports and Lounge Grill. But it goes to every sector. Like, we could have went within your sector and pulled out one
And I
that
actually was looking in the environmental sector for one, and I thought to myself, what if it's someone in this room and I'm telling them they had a crappy posting? So I thought, no, I'm sure that TAPS won't be here, so let's use them.
Yeah, so let's just have a look at it. Does anything jump out to anybody? Is there anything just simple that you think we could change just to make this ad more accessible?
Like you said, a contact person.
Number one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is,
exactly. The acronym. The National Occupation Code. Yeah, I'm sure you might all know that. A few others that jump out at me is depending on experience. They could put a salary range there. And then
Yeah.
also another one, grade 12 or equivalent is another example.
or let's look at what it actually is. What we're hiring for is a kitchen helper.
Yeah.
Is grade 12 absolutely necessary? Like, if it isn't, why put it there? Why not just put, experience, but also add, but we can train you. I don't think grade 12 is necessary to be a kitchen helper. And maybe it is. Like, maybe I'm not a. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Tell you what is expected.
Yes, yes.
So as somebody applying for this, I'm like, well, are you asking me to be a sous chef, or are you asking me to wash dishes?
Right.
So it's very empty.
Oh, exactly.
A list of duties.
List of duties, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A list of duties that allows more people to know, do I have these skills for this job? Anything else? Anybody see there? You could also add different options for how to apply. This gives a one-way option, an email. So like Joy said, a phone number, fax, email, any way.
And
Any way you want to get it to me, get it to me.
And I'm suspecting that anyone that's going to apply at TAPS is probably from Yorkton. And so why not say, pop in and see us?
In person, yeah.
There's lots of opportunities there that we could make this just a tad bit better.
Yeah, and then you just naturally, yeah.
Also, and I just asked my colleagues what DOE means, so dependent on,
Experience.
but then it's 0 to 6 months experience required.
Yeah.
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 You're paying that, it's just, anyway, I'm just
Yeah.
curious about that.
I totally agree with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, they need to go on CASE's website and have a look at our employer HR toolkit. And we actually have postings, sample postings of how to post inclusive job postings. Yeah, excellent. Another thing is tell job seekers that there's some flexibility. People are working differently now, working from home. Obviously, you can't be a kitchen helper from home, but just that that there is some flexibility in it. Some persons with experiencing disability have appointments that they have to attend. Yeah, Susanna.
One thing that we found out too is that men stereotypically will apply for jobs that they're 60% qualified for. Women stereotypically it's 80%. So one of the things also with job postings is a lot of the time it's the unicorn. It's like, this is what we would absolutely love. This is what we think we might need. And so a lot of times people won't apply to it. One thing that I've seen with job postings is for people to say, please apply even if you don't have all of these qualifications.
Yes.
So I think that's also in terms of an inclusive piece is to have that. Because I know for myself when I was applying for jobs, it was like when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I feel safer.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to come to a place that I can have a conversation.
Yeah, that's willing to work with you, right? Yeah,
Right.
great point. Thank you.
It reminds me of a gentleman I worked with years ago, and he'd had a very difficult life, and there was a position he was looking at the school division in another province that I was working in at the time. And he said, I'd be perfect because I can relate to these kids and they can relate to me because our stories are similar. And so my friend, my colleague, my client is in a wheelchair. And one of the qualifications that the school division, every school division has, is that you have to have a valid driver's license. And so I went to the division and I said, like, does he need to transport students? Like, is this why he has to have the license? And they said, no. And I said, oh, does he have to go from one school to another, like, within the city? And, and they said, well, not likely, like, this is the school we're hiring for. And so I said, like, why does he have to have, like, I'm only asking, why do you have to have a driver's license? And they said, well, it's always been this way. And this is the way it is. Like, it can't change. This is the way it is. So it effectively excluded Philip from this. But, I don't give up on things like that. So I just kept going higher and higher and higher until I finally got the superintendent. And he said, oh, well, yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be there. So after a long rigmarole, and I mean a long rigmarole, months, they did hire Philip. He's been with the school division in Brandon, Manitoba for almost 20 years and is a valuable part of their system and does transfer from within different schools within the city. He has to take handy transit, but nonetheless, he's able to do that without any issue at all. But he would have been completely overlooked if he didn't have an advocate that would go in there and fight for him. So, and there was no reason for it. It's just the way we've always done it. And so it's the way and a lot of times we think, well, everybody has a driver's license. Who doesn't have a driver's license? Were you going to say something?
Yeah, just as you were talking, an idea popped into my head in terms of having inclusive job postings is as service providers, like yesterday in one of the sessions, it was interesting to know that most people didn't understand what a supported employment service provider is, and that we have them here in Calgary and across the nation. Like
Yeah.
So in terms of, and then that's a free resource for employers and for job seekers who experience disabilities. So why not have that on the job posting? Like, if you are interested in this job, and if you're experiencing disability, you can also contact the service provider who can support you in this
Journey.
Yeah.
And also, I know CASE has mentorability, so that is like, you can even access that for like an informational interview or something along those lines.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Super good
Yeah,
point.
yeah. If you don't know what's out there, that's part of the battle, is getting the word out there that these resources are available, free.
And that's kind of, so when we started, I said something about having a network of 200 service providers that could be called headhunters. That's what they do. They're free to every employer to use, and it's an opportunity for you to connect with one of them. And if you don't know where one is in your community, you call CASE. And I'm sorry. I'm taking over.
You got to move on to interviewing, Joy.
Yes, I do. On the tables, there's some business cards. There's a little bit of swag that we had. Take all of that home with you and make sure that you reach out. And if you're in the Calgary or the Edmonton area, I think a lot of you are from there, mentorability is right there, and it's a really good opportunity for you to, and I'm going to talk about that more too, but, so, yeah, we're going to talk about
You get to
interviewing.
keep talking.
I always talk. Everybody knows that I talk continuously. So interviewing. So one of the things, I'm going to tell you another story. One of the things that happened a number of years, like a lot of years ago, I got this young lady a job. She was also in a chair as a admin assistant. And I was so excited to take her to the interview. I hadn't disclosed that she was in a chair. And this was at a lawyer's office. And so we show up, and she cannot get into the building. So I have to phone the employer and say, like, my client is in a chair. And so we ended up having to go around the back and through the service, and we got in. And I had the employer so embarrassed because they felt so bad about this whole procedure. My client was rattled because of what I had put her through, as well as myself thinking, what was I thinking? That it was just a horrible experience. And so making sure that when you're setting up those interviews, ask people, is there anything that we can do to make your experience better? Is there any accommodation that we can provide you? I know that word accommodation kind of scares people, but it could just mean something as simple as, is there anything I can provide you? Well, yeah, it turns out I have a service dog. So, if your staff could know not to touch him when we come in, not to distract him from his job, that'd be fantastic. Or it could be, something very, very simple like that. We were at a conference, Susanna.
How would we even know what we could have as an accommodation? So if we're saying that, how would we know these things?
Right, so an employer doesn't need to know, but they need to ask. Because the expert on the person you're going to interview is the person that's going to interview. And they will tell you what you need to know before you interview them. I don't think that we need to be experts on everything, but if we ask the question, they're going to tell us. I was at a conference a year and a half ago, and that's what happened. This gentleman came with a service dog, and every time he was in the elevator, people were petting him and talking to him, and to the dog, and the dog got so distracted because he wasn't sure what he was supposed to be doing. And it was just a total nightmare. And we were all, at the conference, we're all supposed to be, service provider professionals that should know this stuff already, and we didn't know. So, it's not your job to know everything, it's your job to ask the questions. Now I'm so far off topic that we'll never get back on topic.
Rick Hansen. Tell the Rick Hansen.
Oh, okay.
Story.
Oh,
then
fine.
you'll be back on topic.
Okay, so another conference a few years ago, I was going to, and Rick Hansen was one of the speakers. Oh my gosh. So as I'm walking up there all, looking great, and very confident, I see Rick Hansen and his little minivan, and he's getting stuff out of is it called a hatch? Out of the back of a minivan? Yeah. Okay, so he's getting stuff out of there, and he's, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm walking up there, oh my gosh, he's going to need to close that hatch, and he's not going to be able to do it. And so I'm going to be able to help him, right? I'm going to be this superstar. So I'm walking along a little bit faster because I want to get there before, he's struggling. And as I'm walking up to them, he reaches up to this little rope that he's got attached to the door, and he pulls it, and of course the hatch closes. And so then I had to kind of adjust my walking to walk around him. It's just, you don't know what you don't know. People that have disabilities, people who are experiencing disabilities, they live their life finding ways to make life easier for them. They live in that field of innovation. And so we just need to, come along for the ride. So if you have people in your organization that are experiencing disability, chances are they have great innovative ways that can help your business thrive. Yeah, that's kind of an embarrassing story about Rick Hansen.
Okay, so putting into practice. So some of the things you want to do are to avoid making assumptions when you're going to do an interview about the candidates based on their information, such as their address, their name, the pronouns they use, perhaps the educational institution they attended, or even the resume format that they use. Lots of different countries use different ways of doing their resumes, so you can make an assumption about that, and you may limit your pool. Another way is screening by telephone. Lots of people, not everybody's on the same playing field, same level, so if you're only doing things one way, then you may be eliminating, again, a large amount of the population. When scheduling interviews, like Joy said, ask if there's any accommodations needed. Lots of times, people don't want to disclose their the disability they're experiencing, because I think that that'll impact their chance for the job right away. So if you're an employer that asks about accommodations, then they know, okay, this is a supported employer. I feel comfortable telling them what I need for my accommodations. And like Joyce said, accommodations can be so simple. We're both standing here with 40 font notes.
Yeah.
Because we can't see. Mine are highlighted because I can't see. Accommodations can be that simple. Other things, like Joyce said, discuss with the office staff who's going to be coming for the interview. Prepare them. Make sure that there's ramps and that they know about service dogs, etc. Ask candidates the same set of questions. Have the same set of questions that you ask for everybody, and then grade that based on the skills that you're looking for. Have a metric like that. Be aware of implicit bias. Again, it's something we all have. I was telling Joy a story yesterday. Like, I'm a big feminist. I was raised by a mother who drove a dump truck and worked on farms and planted trees. And I got caught up in it. She told me to go meet a truck driver to pick up a parcel. And I pulled up and there was a truck empty. And there was a picnic table with a woman sitting on it. And I went and sat down beside the woman at the table. And I sat there for like 10 minutes waiting for the truck driver to obviously come out of the store or what. And then it wasn't until she got up from the picnic table and got in her truck that I went, oh my Lord, she's the truck driver. But my own implicit bias was waiting for this man to come out of the store because he must be the truck driver. So we all have it no matter what. It's just, recognizing it. And then another thing is perhaps doing a working interview. Have the person do the job that you're looking to fill. See if they have the skills to do it. Lots of people, especially people with neurodiversity, interview the traditional way not so well. And then that just closes the doors on them right away. So if employers can learn to interview differently and to be able to see the skills that they have, because there's a lot of brilliant people that are sitting at that 50% plus unemployed, and they're brilliant and could be doing the jobs. And like Joy said, they stick around. They stay around. That is a huge plus for your bottom line. I know it's about the money, your employers, your businesses, but when you're constantly hiring, recruiting, and training, and then people leave, this doesn't happen as much with people experiencing disability, marginalized communities. When they find a job that they like and they're treasured at, they stay there. And it's good. It's good for the whole entire company, for the community, for the person, their family. It just is the best practice.
Right. And it raises the morale of all your workforce. So yeah, I love what you said there, Tanya, is like, why not do a working interview? Why not provide the things that person would need to do and see if they can do them, rather than ask them questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Heavens, I just want a job. I don't want to talk about 5 years from now. I just want to go to work tomorrow. Another really good way that employers can bring on staff is by contacting their local mentorability hub, because it's an opportunity for them to bring someone to your workplace and spend an hour or 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever the period of time that you have to be able to work with them, and hear what they have to say about why they want to work for this particular company, and also see what skills they have already. And so everybody's feeling comfortable about, there's no, you're not saying you're giving them a job. You're not saying you're not giving them a job. You're just trying on. It's like going to the shoe store. You don't walk in and buy the first pair of shoes that you try on. You're going to try on lots of shoes. So let mentorability come to your workplace continually, bringing people in. Some of those people are going to fit, and you're going to say, like, I can't live without this pair of shoes. Like, I can't. And so that's another great way to kind of, you may have posted for a job, but also call your local office. We have hubs across the country. Every single province has a hub.
Okay, 6 minutes and
Oh my God.
onboarding. I know!
See, I told you.
On to onboarding, my friend.
Okay. So onboarding is just a continuation from your interview process. Make sure that people feel comfortable enough to tell you what they need. Ask them. Like, don't wait for them to pop up and say, by the way, I I don't see the way other people see. Everything is flat, so I can't see steps. So if you don't mark where the steps are, I'm going to fall down lots. Like that's me, actually. But, so there's lots of different things that we can do. But I want to keep moving along.
Yeah, and
because-
again, I'll just quickly point out back to the CASE website. In the employer section, I'll talk about it at the very end, but the HR employer toolkit, all of this is in there. Like I'm amazed every time I go over that toolkit, I'm like, wow, it's amazing. You don't have to do the work. Why reinvent the wheel? CASE has it there. Okay. Did you want to talk about Walgreens or Jazz Air? Because those are pretty awesome.
I'll maybe quickly do Jazz Air,
Yeah.
but I want to be able to get to Mark.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important. So a good friend of mine, Mike McDonald, works for Jazz Air, and he wanted to be more inclusive, and that was his main mandate there at Jazz Air. And so he actually found this mechanic, very talented aircraft mechanic, and they came to work to try out the job for 3 months. And the first thing they noticed was that, and I don't know anything about aircraft mechanics, so when the plane needs to move in the hangar, a big buzzer goes off, and that means clear the floor, so everybody gets out of the way. Just so happens that this particular mechanic is deaf and hard of hearing, and he couldn't hear the buzzer. So immediately, the company thought, well, we can't have him on board because, it's unsafe. Like, clearly it's unsafe. So he came to them and said, I understand the problem, but why don't we just install a strobe light? Because I'll see the light no matter where I am on the aircraft. And so they put the light in now. When they need to move an aircraft, the buzzer still goes off, but the strobe light also goes off. And so everybody is safe in the workplace. And he's been with them for several years now. So, sometimes the simple things can make employment, and they have a great employee with him.
And a big bonus solution for everybody. Like, these are all benefits for everybody. There you go, Mark Wafer.
Okay, so I don't know if you know Mark. He's a really good friend and a great guy. And he owns 7 Tim's Hortons stores in the Greater Toronto area. And he's hired inclusively for years. And one of the things he always says is, I've hired 135 people over my years in this business. And so I pretty much know what everybody needs. And I've only been wrong 135 times. So, do we have Mark's little video?
No.
They took the video?
Comms took the video out.
Oh, because Mark
You
actually
can go
talked
on YouTube. Mark Wafer has done a lot of videos about inclusive hiring, and he is absolutely one of our best champion employers. And he can explain the benefits. Check him out on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know they took us out. Oh, that's too bad.
So what's next? So we've talked about job postings, interviewing, onboarding. Consider the next steps to reaping the rewards of a diverse and inclusive workforce. So if you go to CASE, supportedemployment.ca, and the realm that I live on there is the employer. At the top of the navigation tabs, you'll see the employer section. And if you click on that, that's where all our wonderful stuff is housed. We have an employer self-assessment tool that employers can do on their own to see where they are in this journey. Because sometimes you're at the beginning, sometimes you're at the middle, but as long as you're on the journey, there's going to be mistakes made. It happens, but at least you're moving forward. That self-assessment tool can give your bosses, your employers, an idea of where they are and what they need to work on. And then again, the awesome employer HR toolkit. Like everything you could possibly need is in there.
And policies.
Yeah, everything from the very beginning to the very end. It's absolutely awesome. We have employer trainings and webinars. All of our services for employers are complimentary and free, so there's nothing to be lost by checking it out. Some of our employer trainings that we offer are accessible communications, guiding principles for a great fit, wellness while working at home, and preparing to be a mentor. We also have some resources like Remote Workers Guide. After the pandemic, that became something that wasn't even a thing before the pandemic. And now so many employers are doing this and offering this, but how do you do it? So we have the guide, the Employer's Guide, to how to make that easier and how to make it work better.
Right, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go on the website and sign up for the employer newsletter.
Yes.
It comes out once a month, and it's an opportunity for you to see what's going on with other employers and give you some starting points or some ideas about where you might want to be.
Absolutely. And one big thing, I have enjoyed coming to your world and attending your conference so much. I learned so much about all of you, and shush, we're not done. So much about what you guys do, and I'd like to invite you all and to invite your employers to come to our annual CASE conference. This year it's in Regina, June 11th to 13th. And that is where service providers, employment service providers, employers, and also people with lived experience, as well as the CASE staff, will all be there, and it's a wonderful time to learn more about it and what's in your communities and what you can do.
Yeah, give you some more opportunity. We'd love to see y'all there. And so I've taken a mental picture of y'all. And if you're not there, I'm going to track you down. You know what I did to the school division.
And I love this proverb. I didn't put this in there. Did you put this in there? This is lovely. I love this. A great proverb. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. And thank you. Thank you for having us, folks. We greatly appreciate the opportunity.
Good job.
Thank you. I'll take my 40
I've had the pleasure
notes.
to get to know our two lovely presenters this past year. I should have known they were going to be late, and we would have a short amount of time for questions. But if anybody in the audience has any follow-up questions for them, please, this is the time.
Oh, way back up.
Yeah.
I'm just curious a little bit more about the certification program.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit more about that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the organization we're working with is in Quebec. And so they're doing a pilot program right now, just started, where employers have come to them and said, like, where are we on so they've developed like a curriculum, but it's not, that sounds like it's really onerous, and it's not that onerous. Just places where they can say, am I doing this? Is this an idea? And they can check off that. Then our partner will go into their workplace just to see how accessible it is and how, and once they've met and if there's going to be areas with most of us that are not to that standard yet. So then they give them opportunities, they give them resources so they can bring all of those things up to that standard. Once they've reached that standard, then they'll get an accreditation that they can have on their website, or they can have in their LinkedIn, and that they can use when they're posting jobs, that sort of thing. It is a pilot program right now, but we're hoping by October that the first round of pilots will be over with, and we can roll it out across the country.
And I'd just like to point out these on your table. These are seed pamphlets. This is Innovation Lab information. So if you scan the QR code on the back, it'll take you directly to Innovation Lab, which is the project that Joy and I are both on. And within there is information about all of our 27 partners. Not all 27, the current ones right now.
Right.
Some of them have completed, and yeah.
And dissemination.
And then you can plant them in the ground, because they're seed pamphlets. They're filled with wildflowers. So once you use the information, then you throw her in the dirt, water it, and flowers will grow in the spring.
Yeah, so make sure you take them, there's a few Go Cups on the tables, take those, take the pens, take the business cards. There's some inclusive employer stickers.
Yeah, these decals are part of our employer recognition campaign that we're trying to drive all across Canada. So if you're an employer that hires inclusively, we ask you to post it on your window of your business, and then the details are on the back, share to our socials, and we can share to your socials and all that good stuff.
Tanya, I just realized we're supposed to let them ask questions.
Oh, sorry. I'm bad at this.
See, we're not really very good at sharing the stage.
I'm not being very good at moderating you, too. So
You're afraid of us, admit it. Does anyone else have a quick question? I'm so sorry to take up all the time. Yes.
It's just a quick one. Does CASE work with other similar organizations? So I have a friend who works for Makova, and I was wondering, like, do you guys work in parallel, or are you competitors?
No.
No.
I didn't ask that.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, always in partnership with with the service providers that are doing the work on the ground. So yeah, we have over 200 would be amazing. 200 service providers across Canada. So if an employer calls us and they say, we're in Wherever.
Yeah.
We can tell you who the local service provider is, like you mentioned, that's on the work, doing the ground, that knows the job seekers in the area to fill the positions, yeah. And connect with Susanna there.
Yeah.
And Ashton, and Aliyah.
And if you're from Ontario, it would be Jennifer. That's she's the umbrella organization, ODEN, Ontario Disability Employment Network, that has all of the employment service providers in Ontario. So they'll be able to connect you up to, as well. So there, but if you don't know someone in your area, don't know someone in your province, you just contact us and we'll.
And we do always hope to work in partnership. That is
Yes.
the best practice for sure.
Yeah.
Question.
They're wondering when they can get out of here.
Do you want to speak a little bit how your organizations can advocate for policy changes and systemic reforms?
Ooh, yeah. Okay, pick the tough question. Like, why did we let him talk?
This is punishment.
So CASE actually is an advocate for change. We hear from our membership and from employers as well about what things they'd like to see different, what the Canadian government can do differently. One of the things that it's been an echoing thing here is recognizing accreditations from other parts of the world. It's very, very difficult. That's something that we have talked to our funders about, and how we can speed up that process or make it easier for people to find employment in their chosen fields. So we do advocate for the service providers, employers, and the public at large on how these policy changes can happen. I'm not saying anything is fast.
But we had our case, the World Case Conference last year was in Vancouver, and we had 62 different countries send delegates. So being able to learn from them what they're doing was just absolutely amazing. And I mean, some countries are so far ahead of Canada in this. They don't have the 50% plus unemployment rate. So looking at what they're doing and being able to lobby for those same kind of things is so valuable.
Yeah, but we're not at the bottom of the scale either.
No,
I don't want you all to
not
get
at
down
all.
on yourselves and thinking, oh,
Yeah.
well, we're not that, we're not. We're like middle of the pack,
Yeah.
but I'd really like to raise this up
You
to
can
the
do
top
better.
of the pack. Did I answer your question?
You did. Thank you very much. Well, let me just say then in conclusion, the partnership between CASE and Eco Canada started about a year ago. I had the very special pleasure of managing the first project that Eco Canada got, which has been one of the most rewarding jobs that I've had, and it's been very educational as well. And it helped us kind of get into a space in which like the two organizations did not have experience before. So Eco Canada got into the supported employment space, and CASE has gotten into the environmental space. And it's a very much so a partnership that complements itself. And I'm very grateful of getting to know you two. And it's been an awesome partnership and pleasure to work with both of you. And that concludes our session. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. We are going to have a networking session for 30 minutes after this. And yeah, enjoy the rest of Eco Impact. Thank you very much for coming. And one more hand for the two presenters.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And check out the videos. He's talking about the project that Eco Canada did on YouTube as well.
Yeah, maybe I should
Amazing.
do a little plug for
Videos.
myself as
Yeah.
well in my project. There is, if you go on Eco Canada, we have different playlists, and one of them you can find some videos of very inspirational, talented professionals that work in the environmental field. And Jeremy Brown back there, our videographer, has very diligently been working on those in the past year.
Oh, yay,
and
Jeremy.
yeah, it is great timing, Jeremy.
They're awesome.
Great timing.
I love them.
But yeah, they're awesome videos. They're incredible professionals that I've had the pleasure of interviewing, and yeah, it's a
Awesome.
amazing project.
Thank you,
Yeah,
friend.
it is so good.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much.